everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of Barbell Therapy. I am your host. I'm Kate, and I am a Division I strength and conditioning coach. I also have my master's in human performance and nutrition, and I own my own online fitness and nutrition business where I help people that have swear they tried everything and just can't see results actually get results, right? So on today's podcast, it's going to be a little bit kind of all over the place. But if you know me at all, that's pretty par for the course. So I want to start by taking you through like a typical fat loss evaluation. So then that way you can have a starting point when you're trying to evaluate your fat loss and like why things aren't working currently. And then I want to jump into redefining your relationship with certain people that are adding stress and just like not supporting you and honestly affecting your self-worth. And those two don't really seem related. Once we go through this fat loss evaluation, you'll find that stress and things like that are so important in and vital in being able to see fat loss results that this actually like is going to pair nicely. And then on top of that, this is just something that I've been going through and I had a lot of clarity on over the last couple of months, and I think it's something that I keep kind of like talking about in my life, and so I feel like it would be really beneficial to bring into this podcast. So, not really a seamless transition, but we're just going to get into it. So, here we go. All right, so when it comes to a fat loss evaluation, first we need to figure out like what are your typical or like what are your goals right now, right? So like typically when people come in, they're looking to lose weight, lose body fat, building muscle tissue, and genuinely just feel more comfortable inside their own skin and looking at the mirror, right? Like we want to look at ourselves in the mirror and be happy and excited with what we're seeing back at us and not be constantly just like unhappy. Like, I mean, put it blankly, right? So first we need to figure out like what have you been doing so far? A lot of the times people come to me and they are doing random fitness challenges or, you know, taking classes at their gym or maybe just doing like random workouts, like whatever they feel like in the gym that day, maybe something that they saw on Instagram. And it's really hard to keep up with, especially when you join a challenge and they throwing all these new things at you. You're going from 0 to 100 real quick. And like that routine just like is not easy to keep up with. And it's just not something that's sustainable for you, right? So you're doing all of these things and you feel like you're spinning your wheels, but you're not having any luck. So then the next thing that we need to touch on is like, what does your diet look like? And typically I find that people come to me and they say that they swear they've cleaned it up. They're eating less. They're eating more protein. Eating less looks like getting up in the morning and having a cup of coffee and maybe skipping breakfast or just having a toast with butter on it or whatever that is. And then getting in the car, like eating from the car, whatever it is, going to work. And then at work, you either don't eat lunch because you forgot it or you didn't prep something or it just doesn't happen. Or maybe you are getting salads or a sandwich, something healthy from wherever anyone else is ordering from. And then you're sitting behind your desk and you're eating and, you know, mindlessly snacking on whatever chips also came on the side, right? Like you're having a healthy sandwich or a soup. So like, it's okay to have the chips. I'm not saying it's not, but that's just typically like what a day looks like. And then you get home and you're mentally exhausted. You have to do 1,000 chores. You have so many people, things, pets, whatever it is to take care of. And you're just like done with it. And so you eat whatever is in the fridge, or maybe you get food out and you swear it's healthy. Maybe you're even going gluten-free, dairy-free, and just trying all the things, right? You've cleaned up your diet. What does that look like for you? Think about it. And then still nothing's happening. So now you're unhappy with your workout routine because you're stressed and your eating habits because you don't like them and it's not working. So now what does the daily life look like, right? So now we need to talk about what does your daily life look like? And a lot of the times I hear that people are setting their alarm for 4 a.m. so that way they can wake up and get a workout in, but like they're probably really exhausted. So that happens maybe once or twice a week that they actually get up. And then you're starting your day feeling like a failure because you set your alarm, you didn't get up, and now you didn't work out. Or you got up, worked out, and you just honestly made yourself more tired throughout the day. And then you have to do 1 million things before you get out the door for work. And then you go to work, and we've already talked about that. And then you're sitting at your desk all day. And then when you get home, you're just tired and you just can't do it all. And then the weekend comes around and you're like, okay, I can do something productive on the weekend, but you forgot that you're an adult and you have 1,000 obligations that have come up. Because as an adult, our weekends don't get easier. Like, our weekends are not easy. You just have so many things going on, right? So now we are just mentally exhausted. You're at your breaking point. You want help, but you don't know how to do it. You just like don't know how it could possibly happen for you when you've tried all these things and they just haven't worked. And I'm going to start off by saying that I've been there, right? So like when you look at Instagram and you look at people who either have a physique that you want or whatever it is, it's really hard to take a step back and look at their entire journey until they got there, right? They probably started out just like you. And it's really hard to be like, okay, they started out like me, but now they're there. I don't see myself ever getting there. They didn't see themselves getting to where you are, to they are either. Like, nobody knows that this is going to happen until we put in the work to make it happen. And I've always been somebody that has like been participating in 1,000 sports and 1,000 jobs and whatever it is. And so like my whole adult life, I had 2, 3, 4 jobs. I would set my alarm for 4 a.m. You know, sometimes I'd be really consistent about going. Some weeks I wouldn't. And I would get home from the day and I would just be so tired that I would look at my life and I'd be like, oh my God, I'm eating out of a Tupperware again. I'm meal prepping again and like spending all this time doing all these things. And like, I still hate how I look in the mirror. And at the time, I was 30 pounds less than what I am now. And I look back on that human and I'm like, how did you hate yourself so much? Like, how did you hate looking in the mirror so much? Because I am 30 pounds heavier and I don't hate myself when I look in the mirror anymore, right? And so I think back on those times and I was like, oh my gosh, she was eating salads because she felt like that's what she needed to do. And she was skipping meals and so mentally drained from just everything going on, eating her meals out of a Tupperware and drinking a couple glasses of wine and then feeling super sluggish and hating her body. And it was treacherous and like bloated and whatever. And like, again, I was 30 pounds lighter. And you just think that like, if you're going to be the smaller version of yourself, you're going to be a happy version of yourself. And like, the reality is you're not. So we have to really define like what those goals are. Like, why is it so important for you to be smaller? Or what does that look like, right? Because at the end of the day, if you are losing body fat and building lean muscle tissue, depending on like where you're at, that scale might not change. Or it might change only 10 pounds, but your body composition is really starting to shift. And so we need to identify what your current goals are. And then we need to identify like what actually is going to work for you. You do not have to go to the gym 4 days a week and get on the Stairmaster for 30 minutes just to see results. Like, you don't have to do that. You can easily see sustainable results from figuring out how you can fit fitness into your lifestyle, right? So like, you have to figure out like where you're going to go, or you have to figure out where you want to go in order to determine how you're going to get there. And you have to do it in such a way that doesn't cause you so much stress, because all of that stress that you are putting on yourself is actually causing your body to go into flight or flight mode. And you're in this heightened state of stress that is requiring so much more energy than you even think. So your body's actually going to continue to retain the food that you're eating because it needs that in order to live off of this incredibly anxious and like stressful state that it's living in. So when you're going into overdrive like that, your body's actually now working against you and not for you. And we want to get you out of that. We want to relax the body. We want to relax the mind. We want to get you to a state where working out doesn't feel like so much pressure, and it just feels like, oh, this is great. I'm moving my body today. Like, oh, this is the time that I've set up to do this today, right? So like whatever that is, that's what we need to do. That could look like 2 30-minute workout at home sessions, and 10-minute daily walks. Or it could be, 1 time a week you do an hour-long walk, or 2 times a week you do 30-minute walks. Like, whatever you can find in your day in order to make that happen. And that looks really different for everybody. Like someone who has a dog and doesn't have a yard to let them out in, going on a 10-minute daily walk isn't that difficult because you already have to let your dog out no matter what. So that isn't like a crazy thing to necessarily add. But someone who has a yard like me and doesn't really like to go on walks, okay, so now doing that every single day feels like an incredibly daunting task. So how do we incorporate that in such a way that's like isn't going to make you feel like you're a failure when you're not doing it, to be quite frank. Okay. The last key ingredient is going to be nutrition. So we have to figure out like what it is that you're eating and why it's not working for you. And I will tell you, most of the times my clients come to me and they're actually not eating enough, and they're not eating enough protein. Even though they swear they've doubled the protein in their diet, when we actually portion it out, you're actually still not eating enough protein for your body. And in my macros masterclass that just launched I guess it launched a month ago, but in my macros masterclass, I actually go over why protein is so vital. So if you want to check that out, I'll put the link in the show notes here. But it's incredibly important in order to lose weight and build lean muscle tissue. So that's the one thing we always have to do, is we always have to increase protein immediately. Additionally, like, because we have been told we need to eat less, eat less, eat less, a lot of us skip meals. We don't eat enough. And when we're not eating enough, our body is going to store a whole heck of a lot more because it requires a certain amount of energy just to live. And so it's going to store what it needs to store in order to maintain itself because it wants to be in equilibrium. It does not care about your six-pack abs, right? So we need to make sure we have a personalized approach to that and balance whatever you're currently eating. So like that doesn't mean like take out what you're eating, right? Like if you enjoy your daily lunch salads, that's great. Let's keep those in there. Let's just double the protein and maybe switch around some of the toppings to help your lifestyle and not work against you, if that makes sense. So that would be like the next key thing I want you to look at is what current macros are you doing and how do we balance what you're currently doing in order to actually work for you. So the last thing, honestly, is you need support, right? Like whether that comes from having somebody that's going through this with you, significant other, family and friends, or hiring a coach. Like at the end of the day, you're not seeing results for a reason and you're not doing the things that you need to do for a reason. So you need someone that's going to actually push you and make sure and hold you accountable to actually doing those things. So that to me is why I hire a coach. Like I am a coach who has a coach because I know that I really need somebody to hold me accountable because I will easily dive into work and then completely neglect myself. Like I need somebody else and I need to have somebody else taking care of me so that I don't stop taking care of myself because I know that is the easiest thing for people like you and me to do, right? We always are constantly giving to other people and we forget to give to ourselves too. So if you need a little bit more of a personalized approach, you can absolutely sign up to do my free fat loss eval. You are so prepared. You know exactly the questions I'm going to ask and how we're going to get to the answer. So that link will also be in the show notes. And if you just want macros, because that's all you need right now, the link to join my Facebook group will be in the show notes and you can hop on there and that's the freebie for joining. So I will see you guys in one of those spaces soon. But I talked about that like not so seamless transition. We have arrived, my friends. So let's talk about stress and support. So if there are people that you're surrounding yourself with that are causing you stress and are not supporting, you need to be able to set boundaries and figure out how to redefine those relationships. And I say this like cautiously, knowing that setting boundaries is such a buzzword and like we have taken it completely out of context at this point. And I just want to emphasize that what I want you to do is I want you to evaluate who or what is causing you stress. And I want you to set a boundary with yourself to redefine that relationship. So in that way, you know when something is crossing and you can retreat, right? So we need to do this in a way that like works for you. And the reason this is so important is because, again, that like sense of stress and sense of negative self is really going to impact your ability to get results. So I'm not here to tell you to cut these people out of your life, because realistically, a lot of these people are going to be close to you and it's going to be really tough to cut them out of your life. But first, we need to take inventory of who those people are, right? Like if you think on a day-to-day basis, like who you interact with that makes you feel badly about yourself or causes you high amounts of stress, or you just shudder every time you have to have a conversation with them, I want to help you change that perspective a little bit, because for years I let, I mean, when I say years, I mean, even last year, I was letting other people dictate my sense of self worth, my sense of happiness. I was allowing somebody else who didn't have the space for me to accept me for who I am and to accept me for my faults, but also allow me the space to grow and develop as a human being and improve our relationship. I was allowing those people to make me feel like less of a human being or like less of a person, less of a good person. I was thinking, they don't like me, so what's wrong with me? And that really, like, throughout my life, that really has been a pattern. And this is family from a really young age up until now, and just so many people that I took inventory of kind of doing this to me. So it's now it's not a matter of cutting those people out, but again, it's like redefining that relationship, redefining the interactions that I have with them, and what types of things I kind of bring to the table so that we don't get to an area that I know that they're going to make me feel that way, right? So whether that's not talking to them about certain personal things, not expecting things or help in some sort of way, or simply just not allowing myself to go there in different activities or something like that, because that is the boundary that I'm creating to redefine the relationship with those people. And honestly, like I've dealt with a lot. Like when I was a kid, I went through a lot. I alluded to this on episode number 1, but a lot of depression, anxiety, and different traumatic experiences that I went through. And then as an adult, as early or whatever the phrase is, a couple years ago, going through that experience of learning that like a mental disorder that I thought I had my whole life and was medicated for was not what I had. And I had to work through those emotions and now really empower myself to get in front of making sure that I am doing what I need to do in order to be a better person for myself and those around me, knowing those types of things, right? So when people don't have the space in order to help me be or let me be a better person or accept me for who I am and the flaws that I continue to work on, right? Those are the people that I need to take inventory of and redefine those relationships. I feel like I've already said this. And this is why I say sometimes I'm all over the place, but like these are the things that I really need to hammer home in order to understand, like help you understand that there's a different perspective. So through talk therapy and finding really supportive people in my life, like my fiance and my parents and some of my amazing friends, I've been able to find a lot of peace and have a lot of space to become a better person, right? So I took a look at like why those things were affecting me, and I started to really heal and like work on some of those things. So I had some past traumatic experiences with my childhood and like things that have happened and how that has defined me as a person moving forward. And like there are parts of me that felt like very woe is me and I wasn't ever going to be better because of those things that have happened to me. And so I had to really work hard to overcome those things. And when I did, and I showed up as a better person inside of the relationships that were making me feel badly about myself or whatever, when I showed up as a better person inside of those relationships and I offered an apology or I offered to mend the relationship from my end, and those people did not meet me there, because there are going to be people that are not going to meet you there. You might go to somebody and tell them how they hurt you, and um you might tell somebody how they've hurt you, and you might apologize for any way that you may have hurt them. And you might try to explore a new relationship or a better relationship moving forward with them. And they might not be ready or even want to meet you there. And if that's the case, like I know the way that I felt was if they don't want that, then again, there must be something wrong with me. But if you are being the best version of yourself and continuing to put forth the best version of yourself and truly doing the work to figure that out and not just saying, oh, I did nothing wrong in the situation, because I'm sure, at least from their perspective, there is something. And if you ask that and they're unable to give it to you, you have to let go of the idea that there's something wrong with you and that you are the problem, because you are trying not to be the problem and they're the ones that are not meeting you there. I'm not saying they're the problem or they're the bad person, but they're not ready to be there. So that's where you need to really redefine the relationship, so then that way you're not continuously feeling that way when you're talking to that person. So like I said, if you've taken the action to rectify the situation and mend fences and they're choosing not to meet you there, then it's time to really redefine where you're going to go with this person in the future, but also try to eliminate your daily interactions with those types of negative thoughts, right? So if you're following them on social media and they're posting this, and that, and every time you're seeing that, you're getting really emotional and you're feeling a certain type of way about it, unfollow them on social media. If you are in group chats with these people and these group chats and like their comments in the group chats or whatever is making you feel uncomfortable, remove yourself from the group chat. If you are at a gathering and these people are there, try not to allow yourself to have one-on-one conversations during these gatherings, right? These are ways that you're not necessarily cutting those people out of your lives, but you're removing those memories that continue to flood you with those negative self-thoughts, that negative self-worth. But truly, you do have to do the work for yourself in order to get yourself to that place. Because again, we're not all not at fault, right? Every situation that you're in, there's two perspectives. And if you do your best to understand their perspective and they refuse to understand yours, and you guys can't come to an agreement to move forward in a healthy way for both of you, then it might not just be worth continuing that relationship where it currently is. And again, changing that, right? And I say this because this is an integral part of seeing results. If you are constantly feeling a negative sense of self-worth, you're going to hate yourself looking in the mirror, no matter how much physical change that you go through. Additionally, you're going to have all of this stress in your life, and you're not going to be able to move forward when and you're going to have all of this stress in your life, and having all that stress is going to impact your ability to see physical results. And to be honest, like I do have these really emotional developmental conversations with my clients during our one-on-one coaching sessions. And typically anytime we have one-on-one coaching sessions over Zoom like this, or even on phone calls, it's because we are trying to explore getting over some of these really it's because we need to really work on our mindset and get ourselves into a better spot in order to move forward. Because again, like if they're feeling stuck and they can't go to the gym and they can't eat and that whatever it is, there's a reason for it, and we need to uncover that reason. And when you talk to somebody about it, it tends to make you feel a whole hell of a lot better. So I hope from this episode you have gained some perspective and understanding in ways that you can really help get yourself into a place that you can achieve the results that you're looking for, but also really start to work and dive into that mindset that you have that might be holding you back. And on next week's episode, we are going to have an amazing guest come on. She's going to talk to us all about her fitness journey. She kind of started from ground zero and worked up, and like how fitness has really impacted and changed her life. She hired a coach. It wasn't me. And now she might be even in a spot where she wants to become a coach and help others. So we're going to talk all about how that might be possible. So if you are interested in that, that's something that you're going to want to tune in on. But that's all I have for you today on Barbell Therapy. And I thank you so much for hanging out with me. I would love your review, your feedback, and questions. So don't forget to subscribe, share, and let me know what you think. I'm signing off, and I will talk to you next week.